Welcome, you lovely souls, to my review of Lover Pretend. As always, we start with the setting of the game. It's set in modern Japan in a business or movie making setting, where our MC, Chiyuki, is a student who wants to become a scriptwriter, just like her mother who passed away. And due to that, she lives alone and wants to look for her father, her mother never told her about. She has these two dreams: to become a successful scriptwriter and to find her father. The only thing she knows about her father is that he met her mother during the filming of the movie Lover Pretend, so she especially wants to contact the former star. And this is where our love interests come into play, because most of them have relatives that worked at that movie. So the premise is kind of that some of the love interests could turn out to be Chiyuki's brothers. The game starts with a common path that follows the casting of the male lead for the next movie, where Chiyuki works as a scriptwriter assistant. During this 2 weeks workshop, she has the chance to get to know the love interests and hone her skills as an aspiring scriptwriter, as well as accumulate hints about her father's identity. The common path officially has 3 chapters, but depending on your choices, you can experience 3 separate events with the love interest you chose to pursue. So technically, I would say the common path is rather about 1.5 chapters, and the rest is partly common path and partly character specific. The common path took me about 8 hours, I would say. And then in each character route, there will be a reason why the MC has to act as if she were together with the love interest, and the main motivators being either becoming a scriptwriter or getting to know something about her father. Now we come to the love interests in the order I played them, though technically it doesn't matter. I started with Kazuma, Chiyuki's cheerful childhood friend, who is an aspiring makeup artist and therefore also works at this workshop. He's easily flustered and easy to read, though he desperately tries not to. He's a bit of a goofball, but I'm sure your mother would like him. The story focused on their strong emotional connection, and though it had some almost unbearable twists, the game still managed to make it kind of cute. And in his story, the two of them really worked together and grew together. I needed to turn down his voice a bit because it was just too loud and he's often screaming and talks very slangy. So it can take a while to get used to his quite energetic and emotional personality, but in the end, I loved his character quite dearly and he often made me laugh wholeheartedly. Then I played Makino. He's an assistant director and also the son of the director of the upcoming movie. He's a silent weirdo and doesn't seem like he likes to talk and is really bad at communicating, but he's actually quite caring in nature. And every Otome geek or anime weeb should deeply connect with him. For me, I first didn't like him too much, but then he started to grow on me, but then kind of got bored actually of his route, and the low-stakes story couldn't grab my attention. Finally, it was not bad, but at least in his story I had the impression you saw more of the rest of the cast and their friendly energy, so he would also be a good character to start out with and to get to know the friends. And his voice actor actually made for me up for the boring story, and due to the voice actor, I still liked Makino in the end.
どうでもいいでしょう。それより早くしてください。
Then I played Sina-san, and I'm glad I did, because he is my favorite character now of the game. He's a model who also applied for this audition and has the reputation of being a player and instantly flirts with the MC and is very self-confident, but not the type to commit to a relationship. That's why the MC is very wary of him in the beginning, but quickly realizes there's more to him than this shell and gets surprisingly proactive sometimes. For me, Sina had the most gripping character development and interesting plot, combined with one likable side character that had me glued to the screen. And because Sina is the playboy, he has the most sexy scenes in my opinion. His voice also got me some time to get used to, because it's kind of noisy and flashy.
すんなとか体調管理に気をつけろってうざいほど言ってくるくせにさ。
But half through his route, I grew to like it and could never stop smiling hearing it, even in the other routes. Lastly, I played Nishijima. Let's start with an objective description. He is a very famous actor who has kind of a calm air around him and is composed, but those traits also make him appear cold. I thought I would like Nishijima very much because of his cool, cold attitude, but starting his route, I instantly hated him. And I couldn't get to like him the whole route and just couldn't see what the MC sees in him. She must be blind. And though I thought his voice actor was really great,
本当に何も知らされず呼び出されたのかな。じゃあそれで
his character wasn't, at least for me. But all the characters in the end were quite interesting to get to know, and most of them had some hidden traits and are not quite as they appear to be. Coming to one of the main or unique aspects of the game, and that's the pretend time. It's basically a time dialogue choice. And what it does good is really conveying the stress of the situation. But if you use guide like me, it's not stressful at all. And even without a guide, it's rather uncomplicated to reload and just redo those 5 questions. But what really confused me is that not always, or rather rarely, you actually had to pretend to be in love. This pretend time could basically occur in any other moment, and sometimes you even had to convince people that you're not in love. It always made kind of sense in the situation, but still felt like straight out lying to me, and you even had to lie to the love interest or other characters. When you fail that pretend time, you will get one of the 4 bad endings. And there are also a happy ending, the best ending, and a good ending. The best ending, the happy ending, is obviously great. The good ending is also interesting and worth playing, I would say. And what distinguishes it from the best ending is that they only reach one goal, either the relationship goal or the career goal, but not both of them, like in the happy ending. And then the bad ending again occurs when you fail the pretend time. They sometimes were interesting or quite sad actually, but most of the time they felt useless to me. The tone of the game is very shoujo manga anime romantic comedy. It also has some anime humor in it, like exaggerated expressions in the sprites, and it's really light-hearted and heartwarming and sometimes emotional, but in a cozy way. And there are also like some possessiveness scenes or small fights about the MC I fully enjoyed, but still the romance is very tame and very first love shyness, holding hands and nothing steamy. You get the classical kabedon or some sweet kiss scenes, especially in Sena's route. But it really has the first love, innocent shoujo manga vibes through and through. And it also felt a bit like a Gambatte anime because it focused partly always on the success of the characters in their work life and them cheering each other on. And from that you might tell it's definitely a character-based game without much story, no overarching plot really. And each route has always 2 goals, the personal development or romance goal and the success in the work-life goal. Now the art of the game, starting with the good parts, the voices are all quite well. I want to especially mention the sprites. They're really detailed and interesting with this polka dot art style of the game and are funny and cute and well designed. And as I mentioned before, have this anime humor, exaggerated expressions that I like but might not be for everyone. But with the rest of the art, I felt like the budget was a bit tight. Starting with the music, it's only electronically generated and you really hear that. It's a bit uninspired and sounds actually kind of cheap. It's not bad, it's cheerful and upbeat and fits the tone of the game. It does the job as a background music. And then the backgrounds, they are also kind of uninspired and normal and almost boring. And what quite annoyed me, they reused it in different contexts. And that really broke the immersion for me. But it was sometimes even worse with the CGs. There were a lot of CGs, not all very romantic, but the art is really well done in the CGs. They are interesting and often in a dynamic scene or have multiple versions of one CG. But what I really cannot forgive is that they even reused CGs. One time the whole one, and other times they just put a different background behind the couple or changed the color. And that really killed the mood for me in the CGs. I would have preferred rather have no CG than those reused ones. Should you learn Japanese with this game? Yes, you could, but you have to pay attention to some slangy vocabulary or slangy grammar you shouldn't copy like Kazuma uses, and there's really quite a lot of complicated film vocabulary, but it's actually not as easy as I expected it to be. Now to the summary. It is a cute game, but it had its ups and downs, be it in the character routes, or that I only really enjoyed 2 of the routes, Kazuma and Sena, and Makino and Nishijima, I don't need him. Or again, that you kind of sense the tight budget in some part of the arts. Also, I'm quite ambivalent about the whole lover pretend topic, because I thought the pretend time would be like in a movie or reality TV show setting, like in an artificial setting, but in the game you actually had to lie to real people or even the love interest. But I really liked the energy of the characters and the funny interactions, and it was a nice fresh of air to see that all characters had some surprises up their sleeves. They weren't always as you expected them to be. But if your backlog is exploding and your wallet is not, you might want to skip on this game. I was not as invested and not as hooked as some other games succeeded to do. But if you don't have any more shoujo mangas or animes to watch, are in desperate need for some shoujo manga fluff, then this game is a good pick for you.